In 1995, Michael Jackson released his first album in 4 years. Known in full as History, Past, Present and Future, Book 1, it was a double album, with the first disc containing his hits from the late 70s through early 90s, and the second disc consisted of new, unheard material. Because of its long title, the album is usually referred to simply as History, with the H, I and S being capitalised, turning history into his story. This was Jackson's response to the shitstorm that had been his life for the previous 2 years, being falsely accused of child abuse by the extortionist father of a former friend. And disregarding the lack of any credible witnesses or evidence, the press swarmed at that situation like vultures to a wounded calf. MJ later said of that time, in part, "At every opportunity, the media has dissected and manipulated these allegations to reach their own conclusions." The History album was a mixed bag of pop, combining everything from classical and orchestra to hard-hitting hip-hop. It's among Jackson's most vulnerable and autobiographical of works. Addressing the 1993 allegations and the media circus that went with them, the album also covers greed, discrimination, and an epic expose at the condition of our planet and a call to all the listeners to do their part to look after it with Earth Song. They Don't Care About Us is the second track and fourth single released from the album. It's a dark and gritty piece, loaded with meaning and emotion. It was written and produced by the King of Pop himself, and though it's not as iconic as some of his other works like Black or White, Man in the Mirror, Billie Jean, They Don't Care About Us was still a top 10 hit in most countries, and it was supported by 2 music videos. Never before had we seen Michael Jackson so angry or defiant on record, and never before or since would one of his songs prove so controversial. Whether you love, hate, or are completely indifferent to the song, you can't deny the genius of its production. The intended feeling and emotion are hand-delivered to the listener, sonically. With its driving beat and hundreds of percussion tracks, even without the lyrics, if you've just heard the song for the first time as an instrumental, you'd feel the passion and anger from where it was born. The song was denounced by Bernard Weinrob of the New York Times on June 15, 1995, the day before the History album's official release. Weinrob was the husband of Sony Pictures chief Amy Pascal, whose race-ridden jokes about Barack Obama were leaked in the infamous 2014 Sony hack. Jew me, sue me, everybody do me, kick me, kike me, don't you black or white me. Weinrob accused Jackson of anti-Semitism due to his use of the word kike. The word kike originated on Ellis Island in the upper New York Bay in the late 1800s. Illiterate migrants at the time often signed their entry forms with a simple X, but many of the Jewish declined from doing this because they associated the X with the Christian cross. Instead, they signed it with a circle. Now, the Yiddish word for circle is kaikel. And after a while, the border inspectors started referring to these Jewish immigrants as kaikels, in a derogatory manner, which soon enough was shortened simply to kike. And Weinrob's suggestion that Michael Jackson using the word kike was in some way racist was all the invitation the rest of the media needed to run with the same story and theme, creating a reluctance from radio stations to want to play the song, and as a result, the song peaked at number 30 in the United States. MJ responded to the controversy saying, "The idea that these lyrics could be deemed objectionable is extremely hurtful to me and misleading. The song, in fact, is about pain and prejudice, and hate is a way to draw attention to social and political problems. I am the voice of the accused and the attacked. I am the voice of everyone. I am the skinhead. I am the Jew. I am the black man. I am the white man. I am not the one who was attacking. It is about the injustices to young people and how the system can wrongly accuse them. I'm angry and outraged that I could be so misrepresented." When you take a look at the volume of stories and lawsuits thrown at Michael Jackson in his lifetime, he really only responded to or even acknowledged a small handful of them. But this was an exception. This was important to him. On June 17th, 1995, which was the day after the History album was released, Michael released another statement saying in part, "I just want you all to know how strongly I'm committed to tolerance, peace, and love, and I apologise to anyone who might have been hurt." And a few days later, he returned to the studio to alter the song for future pressings of the album. The lyrics in the album booklet were changed from Jew me and kike me to do me and strike me. Though contrary to reports at the time, he didn't actually re-record any lyrics. Instead, he chose to insert some rather abrupt sounds over top of the controversial lyrics, perhaps to express his frustration at the whole situation. The song was supported by 2 music videos, both directed by Spike Lee. The first was shot in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, where Michael sings and dances on balconies and on the streets in a festival-like party with children, fans, and with Brazilian music group Alodum, whose drums were kept audible over the track in the completed video. State authorities unsuccessfully tried to ban the video from being filmed there, fearing images of poverty might affect tourism, and they accused Jackson of exploiting the poor. The State Secretary for Industry, Commerce and Tourism demanded editing rights over the finished product, saying, "I don't see why we should have to facilitate films that will contribute nothing to all our efforts to rehabilitate Rio's image." Some were concerned that scenes of poverty and human rights abuses would affect their chances at hosting the Olympics in 2004. Others supported Jackson's wish to highlight the problems of the region, arguing that the government were embarrassed by their own failings. Though a judge did initially ban the production, this ruling was overruled by an injunction. Officials may have been angry about this, but the residents were excited and very welcoming to Jackson and the production crew. If you only remember seeing one music video for this song, this is the video you would have seen. This is the one that was played on MTV and included on the History Short Films DVD. On choosing Spike Lee as the director, MJ explained, "It's a public awareness song and it's what he's all about. It's a protest kind of song, and I think he was perfect for it." The second video, commonly referred to as the prison version, was a no-holds-barred spotlight exposing the darkest parts of humanity. Most networks refused to play this video because of the confronting nature of much of the content. Shot in a real prison, the video cuts from shots of a handcuffed Jackson and other black and Latino prisoners to real footage of poverty, starvation, war, genocide, the KKK, and police brutality. The song has seen a recent return to the mainstream after becoming a makeshift anthem for the protesters in Ferguson, Missouri, where unarmed African-American teen Michael Brown was shot and killed by a white police officer who was not indicted for the shooting. "I am the victim of police brutality. I'm tired of being the victim of hate. You're raping me of my pride, oh for God's sake. I look to heaven to fulfill this prophecy. Set me free." They Don't Care About Us, Michael Jackson's angry anthem, designed to expose the powerful and corrupt, is the only song that has been so regularly banned and censored by the very people it's protesting against.
TabloidJunk.com. So thick and salty.